This video is brought to you by AKS IAS.
Hello, Garima. Firstly, congratulations on your achievement on behalf of Team AKS IAS. We are overjoyed to be a part of your success and wish you all the best in your future endeavors. We are humbled to have you on board this session, where we hope your preparation tips and strategy will help and motivate aspirants who are preparing for the UPSC examination. So, I would also like to share a personal experience. We have been in touch with Garima since the past 1 year. She's a very humble person, and she has been perseverant in her preparation. And she had this clarity of thought on what to prepare, how to prepare, and what exactly she needs to do to crack this examination. Last year, unfortunately, by a slight margin of marks, she couldn't make it to the final list. But this year, hailing from Haryana, she had made it to the All India rank of 220. And we as Team AKS IAS are very happy and delighted that Garima could make it to the final list. So Garima, if you could briefly introduce yourself about your educational background and your journey of UPSC, that would be of great help to aspirants.
So thank you for having me. And regarding my journey, I was born and brought up in Sonipat. Did my schooling till 10th in Sonipat and went to Kota for JEE preparation. Then graduated from BITS in 2016. And since then, I've been preparing for UPSC. It was my 5th attempt. I cleared prelims 4 times and mains twice. And fortunately, this time I see my name in the list.
Fantastic. So could you tell us about your preparation strategy? What kind of strategy did you adopt to prepare for this exam? Let it be the prelims, mains.
So regarding prelims, this is what I have observed over past 6 years. One thing that's really very important is the previous year's questions. A lot of questions get repeated exactly. So, and they also give an idea as to how to streamline one's preparation. So I think the first thing that any aspirant should do is go through last year's as many years questions as possible. And I think that is the one thing that has helped me get my name into the list, is because of previous year's questions, both for prelims as well as mains, be it GS papers or optional. So I think, and having obviously conceptual clarity about certain concepts about the various constitutional bodies, I realized over time that in GS2, one thing that UPSC asks is about constitutional bodies. So once a candidate or an aspirant goes through previous year's papers, then he or she will be able to realize the pattern. So I think that's very important, and that will also save candidates 2 or 3 attempts, definitely.
Rightly said, Garima. So a lot of aspirants have this apprehensions regarding current affairs. How do you prepare current affairs? How to read the newspaper, or how to make notes out of current affairs? Can you shed some light on this?
Yes, sir. So mostly what my strategy has been is I focus more on the static part because current affairs is actually very huge. It keeps changing every day, and a lot of issues do not make even sense for UPSC. For example, the recent Russia-Ukraine crisis. So the newspaper is filled with such articles, but even if a question comes, it'll be only 250 words. It'll be only 20 marker question. So I think once we go through previous year's questions, we'll be able to see what issues are important and how to glean through newspapers. And I think newspapers, for prelims it's different, but for mains, newspapers are relevant only for identifying the topics that could be asked in questions, but more it's related to GS conceptual clarity. For example, this time president election is going to take place. So the newspaper will be filled with articles on who gets elected or how the president is elected. But finally, in paper, the question is going to be about the process or the past of the president. So I think for mains, newspaper is important only for identifying. And for prelims, I think reading one newspaper is very important. And after a while, a student is able to realize as to what topic is important after looking through previous year's questions. I think, and that was my strategy also.
True that, Garima. As a lot of students in AKS also, when they approach whatever strategy that you have expressed now, I think that is an apt strategy where the focus should be on the core concepts, and that is how UPSC asks questions, linking it to the current.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, Garima, in this long process of preparation, there would be many ups and downs for you. And how did you maintain the consistency levels in your preparation? And how would you motivate yourself?
Yes. So I think the idea was always there since I was very young that I wanted to join civil services. So whenever I would feel low or I could not clear any of the stages, the basic motivation behind appearing for this exam, I think that there should be clarity regarding that, and that is one of the most important things that helps candidates wade through disappointing times. And so apart from that, support from family, financial, emotional, that is very important. And also engaging in certain hobbies or spending time with friends, maybe a very small chunk of time, but I think balancing work as well as some entertainment, I think that should be the way to go about it. It's a long process, but if one perseveres, uh, name is definitely going to be there in the list.
True that. So, Garima, your optional is political science and international relations. So, could you share your strategy for this optional paper?
So this year, actually, I got very good marks, and last year, optional not getting good marks was preventing me from clearing the exam. So what I did this year was whenever I would do any topic, I would first look at the previous year's questions. So I would identify that for any particular topic. For example, Plato is there. So there are only 4 or 5 theories that are usually asked, and a lot of questions do get repeated. So I think previous year's questions, I can't emphasize enough the importance of previous year's questions, identifying the pattern as to what topics are being asked and which topic is more important. So there are only very few topics. People say that PSIR is very lengthy. Actually, it's not. If one is able to identify what type of questions are being asked, and if one is able to prepare a structure on them, so I think it's going to be very easy. Previous year's questions are the most important thing according to me. And by looking at those, one can see as to how much time is needed for one particular topic. So that was my strategy this time.
Rightly said. So, Garima, can you tell us about your methodology when it comes to answer writing? What is the precise strategy that you adopted?
So actually, it's different for different papers. So for GS1, what I did was what I have realized over the years is that there is pattern in everything. So if one has to prepare, let's say the art and architecture portion, so there are few topics that for any particular dynasty, one has to do their literature, their temples, their paintings, their religious values, and whether they were tolerant or not. And that's it. So if we do it for every dynasty, and again going back to previous year's questions, after looking at them, one can understand that if a particular question is being asked on travelers, so I would straight away jump to the demand of the question and would not write anything unnecessarily. That was something I adopted this time, that I was not going to beat around the bush. If I know I'll just write whatever is relevant. And this time, what other thing I did was I mentioned government initiatives a lot. So in GS3, in GS2, in GS1, if the government has done anything in urbanization, so the Pura mission or the Swachh Bharat mission, Smart Cities mission, I would just write a line maybe in the conclusion or somewhere that government has taken these steps, and maybe we need to improve the implementation, or more such efforts are needed in this particular direction. So that's how I did my GS paper 1. Regarding GS paper 2, I think constitutional articles, they help because they can be used while framing the introduction. For example, if there is any question on judiciary or judicial appointments, so we can write article 1 to 4. Or so constitutional articles can help in introducing. Then the demand of the question, or whatever subheadings or whatever different portions of the questions were there. So I would make subheadings and then just fulfill the demand of the question, some recommendations, and that's it. No extra content, because it takes away time and also irritates the examiner. And this time would be better utilized in finishing other answers. So this was something that I did.
Very well said, Garima. And regarding the essay paper, where a lot of students find difficulty, they think that essay is something which we cannot get good marks in. It is very difficult to get good marks in. But whereas if you see the scoring pattern, that is one paper along with ethics, integrity, and aptitude, where these two papers are going to determine your main scores. So can you share your insights on this?
So actually, I'm really sorry, because this time I got very less marks in my essay paper. I got even lesser marks that I got in my second attempt. So I think I would not be the right person to give advice either in essay or GS4 papers, because these are two papers where I have got very less marks. And I think I'm not the right person to talk about these papers. I'm really sorry, sir.
Okay, Garima, not an issue. So when it comes to the interview or the personality test, can you let us know how did you prepare for the personality test per se?
Yes, sir. So what my strategy was to cover the whole DAF. So this time I also limited my mocks. Actually, people take a lot of mocks, but then they get contradictory suggestions. So this is one thing that I gave limited mocks this time. And what I would do is look at previous year's questions. Again, here also transcripts are shared by the aspirants. So I would just, there's a PDF of somewhere around 640 pages. And so I'm from Haryana. So what I would do is search Haryana there, or Khaps there, or women there. So I would get a lot of questions, and then I would prepare my answers if I were to answer the same question. So I would prepare my answers, and that's how I would talk aloud, or I would discuss those answers with friends. So that was my strategy, covering my whole DAF. Reading, I used to read 3 newspapers. Sometimes that would become very overwhelming, but newspapers, current affairs are very important, and completing your DAF and speaking, because it's more about speaking rather than thinking. So one has to speak, and if one practices speaking with friends, colleagues, or seniors, I think that should help.
Rightly said, Garima. So what was your difference in preparation compared to last year?
So one difference was last year I wrote a lot of answers, and I did not revise my syllabus well. But this time I first made it a point to finish the whole syllabus, revise it at least 3 or 4 times. And what I would do simultaneously, I would look at the questions on a particular topic, previous year's questions, and frame the answers, not write them, just frame the answers. Okay, so the question is on food security. So first I would write the definition of food security according to OECD or FAO. In the conclusion, I would write SDG goal 2. Then challenges, okay, these are 5 challenges. Then government has taken these 5 steps, and these could be 5 solutions. So that's how I would prepare. That's how I prepared this time. So it was more about revision and keeping my notes very limited. Last year or in my previous attempts, I would read everything, but this time I kept my sources very limited and solved not solved literally through pen, but framed a structure on a lot of questions. And so you won't believe me, I think almost 15 to 20 questions got repeated. The ethics paper was completely from previous year's questions. So I think that's one of the ways to go about preparing for the GS papers.
Rightly said, Garima. And a lot of students have this question on how to prepare self notes and what is the significance of making self notes.
First, I would like to talk about significance. Significance is that when one revises. So, when we are going to appear for mains just 2-3 days before that, so we can't revise the whole syllabus. So that's when the self-made notes come in handy. And how to do them is, sir, I think we learn it over years and over time. That's initially we write a lot. Then after reading it twice or thrice, we realize, okay, this is some content that's not needed. And when we keep reading them again and again, the limited notes only, we are able to identify that, okay, this is the only content that is relevant for this particular topic. So eventually the whole topic gets condensed into 250 or 300 words. So that's how notes are made. Initially you start with everything, that this is the definition, then government steps, challenges, solutions, and then keep shortening them over time. So that's how I made my notes. So I took help from AKS regarding my interview preparation, and the faculty that I got connected with, I'm sorry, I'm not able to recall his name. Sir took a one-on-one session for approximately 2 hours in my first interaction and 1.5 hours in the second interaction. And he helped me identify areas which I had missed on my DAF. And a lot of questions, they got repeated both 3 times regarding Khap Panchayats. I was asked a lot. So I think that Sir helped me a lot in identifying the nitty-gritties of my DAF. And when I started speaking on those particular issues, I realized that even if I do not know much about them, how I could answer if a similar situation gets repeated in the interview. So that I think was the contribution of AKS towards my preparation. And one other thing is the emotional support was immensely helpful. That is something I can't stop talking about, and I'm really grateful for it.
So can you tell in brief for the fellow aspirants or the aspiring candidates some basic tips on preparing for UPSC and what are the prerequisites for preparing for this examination?
So I think the prereq is motivation, and that one is willing to work really hard, because it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So one has, it'll take everything out of you. So one has to be ready for that. So my one tip that I would suggest is go for previous year's questions. I can't emphasize their importance. Just do them again and again, 10 times, 20 times if you have got time. Do them again and again, and it'll help you a lot. That is the only tip. And keep working towards your goal. Keep revising. And keep your notes very limited. Do not read everything that's available. Whatever is being taught to you, just read it. Have faith in those notes. Do not go running after other notes. They are enough. If you read them properly, they'll help you clear these.
Rightly said, Garima. We are sure that your insights and valuable suggestions will be of great help to aspirants, and it will be facilitating their preparation in a more streamlined manner. Along with that, you hailing from Haryana and making to the All India services, I'm sure that a lot of women in your region would be inspired with your success, and many more bright minds will be definitely contributing to the nation building process. We wish you all the best, and we are sure that you would make a very sensible and compassionate bureaucrat. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
This video is brought to you by AKS IAS.